hello, everybody out there in Facebook land, TikTok world, YouTube, everywhere this is going to go live and is going live at this present juncture. Welcome to the broadcast channel, everybody. I am Monty Anderson, your host at 412 Productions. And before I get too deep into it, let's go ahead and switch me around from the mirror mode, which I wish they would just fucking turn off 100%. But they don't for me. And so there you go. So we'll give a brief pause for the different shootings that have already happened this past week. School shooting, the Charlie Kirk shooting, all that good stuff. So we'll give a brief moment for those. All right. Welcome to the show, everybody. I am Monty Anderson, your host here at 412 Productions, the art of Monty Anderson. As the shirt says, 412 Productions, the art of Monty Anderson. Right on here. Boom, boom, boom. And you too can get one of these shirts. They're not my typical price. They're a lot more expensive than my regular shirts because it's called an all-around shirt, and I'll show you why here in just a second. But welcome to the broadcast booth, everybody. Title today is Still Working. Still cruising through commissions um, and getting ready to start some new stuff once I get a little bit farther into this, which I've already put a lot more detail excuse me, back into the back section of the Rift on this one. This one just needs to get my ink started on it, and they are excited for it as well. Got a lot of cool stuff happening, with new products happening, new holographic fans happening. Got to get that to work because I want it sitting over my shoulder, is what I really want. I'm going to try putting my movie in it because apparently this works off of movie mode, not just pictures. So there is apps to download, which I do have one downloaded. It's just I've got to find an empty outlet in this office, which is nigh impossible. Uh, Pretty much, there is no empty outlets in this place, which sucks. But on the same token, it is a good problem to have, because I've got 3D printers hooked up in here. I've got two computers hooked up in here. I've got all kinds of lights for my art desk hooked up in here, which you can see off to my left over here. The glow, the soft glow over here, on my shoulder, um, from my LED lamps. Let's see here. So yeah, I've got to find an empty outlet, which is going to be basically almost impossible, so that I can um, get the program to run correctly so that I can watch it come to life. The logo. Because the logo is going to be on this 3D hologram projector, basically, if you will. And it is going to, spin super fast and create this effect of it moving and all that good stuff. Because it comes preset with all kinds of different stuff, from fish to Christmas scenes to, whatever else. And it's just, I mean, it's cool. It's a cool little piece of equipment, but I want it to do what I want it to do. I don't want all their shit scenes, which I'm not saying they're shit, but they are. For me, they are. So, because of my Comic Con booths, I do not need a Nemo floating around. I don't need unless it's my artwork, you know. But I haven't drawn a Nemo in a very, very long time. So there you go. All right. So we've got whips going on. If you don't know what whips is, it's works in progress. And that is the two main ones that I've got working right now. This one is complete and ready for ink right here. Everything will get tightened up in the ink stage, including the character in the background, which is my rendition of their thoughts on what a amalgam of a Dreki and a Wolver would look like, and then my version is in the background. And then I'm working on this piece, which is a Kingdom Hearts Blade Runner mashup as well. Got a rift going on where Deckard is facing the Heartless, and Sora is facing the replicants in Blade Runner. So All kinds of good stuff is happening right now. And I appreciate you guys sharing, and following, and being here with us this early in the morning. This is later than I normally come on. Normally I'm on about 4:12, but after only getting 4 hours of sleep the past 2 nights, PTSD and all that good stuff, I got a little bit of sleep this morning, just a little bit. I mean, I was up at about 4:40 this morning, but then I had to take care of the pigs that are in the house. Yes, I homestead, and the pigs sleep in the house right now until we get their outside permanent creation made where they can stay outside basically 24/7 and enjoy the outside world on a regular basis. But welcome to the broadcast booth, everybody. I am Monty Anderson, your host here at 412 Productions, the art of Monty Anderson, and I'm going to show you this shirt right here. This is the girlfriend shirt, so that's why it's not on my body. But this is the shirt. It's all around shirt, and what I mean by all around, I'll get to that in just a second. It's got the logo on the sleeves, it's got the logo on the front, and then it's got the massive logo on the back. So you get to see all of it everywhere you walk. So there's no reason anybody should miss who I am with this at all. But right there, the art of Monty Anderson right there at the base, that is our logo. That is our shirt. Right there, right there. And so, there you go. We have lots of shirts available for your wearing pleasure, and they are nice and supple and soft and feel good against the skin. So if you like that kind of thing, hit me up for some orders, like many people have. In here somewhere, oh, there they are. Don't want to pull my setup apart, but right here. These are the going out to a loyal fan out there, Mr. Kirk Holt. This is his order right here. He's got 2 of these. He's giving them away to people. So I got to get those shipped to him. And I know Cassie was going to order some more, but she just hasn't done it yet. She was going to order a Wonder Woman shirt. Got to get in touch with her and find out what's going on there. So, but lots of shirts, and I'll get to the shirts here in just a little bit as we move forward. So what we do here is we talk about comic books, we talk about comic book artwork, we talk about my artwork, we talk about my comic book covers that I've done, we talk about movies, especially horror and sci-fi and comic related, anything that Kevin Smith does, pretty much, so on and so forth. And that's what we talk about here. We keep politics out of it, we keep religion out of it, because once we start talking about those 2 subjects anywhere, and that's anybody, that people start losing their damn minds over all that stuff. So that's why we keep those away. If you want to do that, you can go do your own broadcast channel and have a nice day with that, because we will not be talking about politics here. So there you go. Then if you bring it up, I won't even read it. I will read it myself, but I won't read it aloud. Other people can read it if they want to. But we will not step into the political ring or the religious ring again, because people lose their damn minds when it comes to those 2 subjects right there. So if you're here for that, you can keep on stepping right now. So I just found out that Heavy Metal rebooted itself, and I picked up issue number 2. I loved Heavy Metal back in the day. This is Michael Moorcock's Elric saga right here, character on the front, right there. And it is, I'm happy that they rebooted it, because it is a comic magazine. It is not for young children, let's put it that way. So it is a comic book magazine. There is a lot of blood, guts, and sex in it. So if you're into that, I would highly recommend Heavy Metal, that type of thing. But Heavy Metal's been around for years. 2 different movies, Heavy Metal 2000 and Heavy Metal, back in the day. And I wish I still had my Heavy Metals from back in the day. I really do. I had some really good issues and things like that. And I can revisit some of them. You just can't revisit all of them as I was hitting their website. But I will be getting some of their new ones. Since I've got issue number 2, I'm going to grab a couple more of their issue number 2s, plus some of their number 1s that they still have available, and go from there. Just got to check my levels here, okay, because I haven't charged them up in a hot minute. I don't even have my charger in here for it. So, Heavy Metal is back with a vengeance, and it's a great magazine. Um, like I said, because in it you have, and I'll show you their title page. This is every title that is in here. So you're getting, let's just count it out, shall we? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32. 32 comic books in one book for a relatively cheap price. Normally, if you had that, you'd be charged like 30 something bucks. And not all of it is comic book form. You've got, um, like right here, a little read or just some reading material right there between the pictures. Kind of like in your P Boy back in the day, or P Girl, whichever one that you enjoyed. And, you know, there's some really great artwork in here. There's a lot of great stories in here. And a lot of great talent is in this book. And that's the thing about Heavy Metal. They find the talent, they get the talent, and they make it happen. And they do a really great job with what they do. And like I said, I've enjoyed them for years. I just stopped collecting there for a while, and now that they're back, I'll probably get back into it. Um, just because it is a great magazine um, for artist types, because you get to see everybody else's talent out there. And if you are intimidated by somebody else's talent, then you are you're missing the point. If you're getting jealous over somebody else's artwork, you're missing the point. You know, and it's like other people's artwork should inspire you to keep going. You know, and that is what it's about. If you're getting jealous, there's something wrong with you. You know, because something's miswired inside of you to be jealous over somebody else's artwork. That should improve. That should make you want to improve and do better. You know, and that's what it's done to me over the years. I don't get jealous. I just look at people's artwork and I'm like, damn, I know I can do better than that. I know I'm better than that. Because there's a lot of crap work out there in the world. But then I look at it and it's like, well, even though it's not the best, they're published. You know, Antarctic Press has published their story. They have published their own story. It's not the greatest. It's not the best storyline, but they're out there. They've already got their stuff out there. Where's my stuff? Oh, it's sitting over here in a fucking pile. You know, because as I'm doing other commissions, like I'm doing now with 3 for one person, another for another person. I've got 2 kids books potentially in the works. I've got another 2 kids books in the works over here off the one that I've already done the cover and back cover for. But then it's going to be working on the interiors for that same book. And then where's my book? Well, I keep pushing it to the side because I've got too much other work to do, which is a good problem to have for an artist. But you want your work to be published out there in the world, you know? And so every time you push it back and bury it, if you will, that's just like a hit to you because why aren't you doing your own stuff? Why aren't you having your own characters out there? Why are you, promoting other people's characters instead of your own? Because that's what I can do right now. I'm not showing my characters. I'm not telling the story about what my story is about. I mean, I've told what my story is about. It's about cryptids. It's about folklore. It's about witches and warlocks and Bigfoots and aliens and all kinds of cool stuff. But I'm not telling the whole storyline because I don't want somebody to run out there, take my storyline that they've heard, and make it their own story. Because I've seen that happen, and so have other artists in the industry. They pitch something, and they're like, "We'll think about that," and then 6 months later, they're seeing their story that they just told, that they pitched, out there in the world already in a comic book form, and they're like, well, fuck, that was my idea, you know. So that's why I'm not giving away my storyline. Any story can have wizards, witches, warlocks, Bigfoots, aliens, folklore, all that stuff, because you see it all on a regular basis in the movies, in comic books, in books. Um, I mean, hell, pick up a Stephen King book and you'll find folklore in it. Pick up a Clive Barker book, you'll find folklore in it. You know, and wizards and all kinds of different things in any of those books. And it's just like, well, what? What up, Mister Santiago? Santiago's hitting me up. He is hitting me up over there on the Facebook side right now of things. Mr. Santiago Cirillo, he is a actor. He's an activist for High On Nation, um, which is a good thing. It promotes, and I can't technically say the words here, so I will piece it together. Brain health, you know. Um, it is. He's got a good thing going, Mr. Santiago Cirillo over there. And I, unfortunately, I'm not doing any conventions this year, so uh, I did not go to his High On Nation number 3. Scared City presents High On Nation, uh, Comic Con or Horror Con, whichever one you want to call it. And I didn't go to that one this year, as I haven't gone to any at all this year. Because this is my rebuild year, and I'm still in the process of rebuilding. Yes, we are 9 months into the year, and I'm still rebuilding. Which means what I'm doing is uh, getting all of my product together. I'm getting all of my 16 by 20 canvases ready. I'm getting all my 11 by 17 prints ready. And it might take me a little bit longer than I want. I might not hit a show until middle of the year, in 2026, which is fine. You know, I'm doing okay. I'm doing good. Um, but I'm also working on some sponsorships as well. And if I can get those sponsorships nailed down, then that's going to take a huge burden off of me. Because from henceforth out, I'm renting 2 booth spaces, you know, and that could run me upwards of $1,000, on 2 booths, because they're not cheap to get you a spot at a Comic Con, you know, especially if you get into one of the bigger ones that charge you like $400 a table or $500 a table, and now you're getting two. They don't cut you a big discount. They might give you a $50 discount or something like that, which I think is kind of ridiculous. But um, they should be giving you like $100 discount or $150 discount. But no, they're still all about the money themselves. And I get that. If I had a venue and if I had the money, if I ever won the lottery, I wouldn't tell people I won the lottery, but there would be hints, because I would be owning a building that's in town right now and turning the entire property into a convention center with a permanent collectible shop, comic book collectibles. There would be a superhero themed restaurant in it. Not really a restaurant, but like a deli type of a thing, and then a coffee spot in it. That was permanent. So if people going to work see it, they could stop in, get their coffee, take off, get themselves a donut, a sandwich, or whatever at the same time. You know, and there's a perfect building here in town that would do it. Plus, it could be a permanent convention center. It could be um, a permanent. What am I trying to say here? A permanent many different things. When it's not being used as a comic book convention spot, it could be used as a um, one of those open air flea markets, inside the building, during a month that has nothing going on for a comic book convention. But I would try to push for a comic book convention every month, you know, there, and bring in different guests and things of that nature. And so, and like I said, there's the perfect building here, but I'm not a billionaire, you know. If I had a billionaire friend that wanted to come in here and buy it, I would run this thing for him, But that's not in the cards right now. Plus, I could do a permanent art gallery, on a regular basis, you know. And if I owned the building, then it would be a no brainer. Prices would be easy for people, you know, and yeah, you want to recoup some of what you bought the building for, but that will happen over time, with the conventions that happen there, the weddings being booked there, the whatever, you know, oh, biker rallies or people wanting to do their quilts, whatever. It would be a great place for all of that. You know, it could also house, different technology summits and things of that nature. So, it's just one of those things that you think about on a regular basis. It's just like, man, that building's been sitting empty for, you know, probably 5 years, 6 years now, maybe even longer than that. And it's just like someone needs to come in and do that with that building. And if I had the money, it would have already been done, you know. But I haven't won the lottery yet. I haven't won the Mega Millions yet. I haven't won any winnings at the casino. Those type things. So, it's just one of those things that I'm sitting here twiddling my thumbs because I want that money, but it ain't happening. And then you see on like TikTok, you know, drop your Cash App and see what people leave you. Some people got 7,000 in less than 2 weeks. You know, and then all you get is the spam bots when you drop your Cash App tag. Oh, hey, what would happen? What would you do with $10,000 if it was dropped into your account? Oh, well, here, let me show you what I can do for you. You pay me this, and I won't give you anything. There's so many scammers out there, man. It's ridiculous. And then all the spam bots and fake accounts and shit like that happen. It's like, you get all these people hitting you up and they want you to go to these different apps. No, go to uh, WhatsApp, go to Signal, go to Periscope, go to Zangi, all these things. And then it shows once you do get over there, not in this country, Nigeria, all this stuff. And it's just like, oh, yeah, typical, And I play their game and then I read their script to them. And I'm like, okay, which one are we going here? Which way are we going here? And it's just kind of funny to read their script and they don't know what to do, you know. And it's just like I've seen it all, I've seen your games, I've seen your script many times, you know, and it's just like, well, your guys are gonna have to try a little bit harder because I've seen all these scripts already. I could write your scripts for you if you really wanted to. You know, I could write you some better ones if you really wanted, and I'm not a writer. And yes, pineapple deserves its spot on pizza. I agree with you on that one. Peps, you got that one right. I do enjoy pineapple on pizza. It's really good. And if we want to go down Pizza Road, we can go down Pizza Road. We have a CC's Pizza here. They do all kinds of pizzas on a regular basis. And pineapple pizza is one of their specialties over there. But they do a lot of cool stuff over there as well. And I don't know how many of your towns that are watching right now have a CC's Pizza, but if you don't have one, have your mayor shoot for one. They're pretty good. I'm not saying they're the greatest pizza place ever because there's a ton of great pizza places, especially your mom and pop shops, that are a lot better than these franchises like Papa John's or Pizza Hut or Mazio's or whoever you've got in your town. Uh, we've got some pizzerias here in town that are a lot better than those. But Papa John's has that garlic butter sauce that's really, really good. I haven't had a Papa John's pizza in 4 years, 5 years, 6 years. I can't even tell you how long ago it's been for a Papa John's pizza. But that's just me. But rush out and get you some V8 Energy. Peach Mango, the best flavor they've got out there. Bum, bum, bum. The rest of them taste like crap. They taste like straight up. They taste like straight up chemicals. A friend of mine who doesn't like vegetables or fruits and things like that for the most part, he will eat a couple of different varieties of that. But when it comes to actually, getting into it and all that good stuff, he doesn't like them at all. He tried one of these and he's like, "That's pretty good." I was like, "I've been telling you that for years now. You just don't believe me." So I finally gave him one, and he was like, "Man, that's really good." Like, good to hear. Good to hear. So I'm behind on commissions because life. Like I said, I only got 4 hours of sleep the past 2 nights up until this morning. I got a little bit extra sleep, not a whole lot, I would say, but a little more than I have the past, two nights in a row. Waking up at 1 o'clock in the morning and the past 2 nights, and not being able to go back to sleep sucks. And you try, you sit there and lay there for hours and play on your phone for a little bit, and hoping that's going to make you tired. And finally, you're like, "Well, damn, it's time to get up," you know. And it's just like, now I wish there was a method to my madness when it comes to sleep, but it doesn't. I've been this way for years. Usually, I'm up about 4 o'clock most days, even if I go to bed at 11 or 12 o'clock at night, which I don't anymore because I'm an old guy. I appreciate the likes, Aspen. Much appreciated. Thanks for stopping in on the broadcast channel, too. Don't forget to like, share, and follow. And you can also go up here to my profile, and you can follow my other accounts on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and you're already here on TikTok. So you can follow there all the way around. But the likes are appreciated. They always help the broadcast channel, and that pushes us up in the algorithm as well. And we talk about cool stuff here. I mean, we talk about comic books. We talk about comic book conventions, especially those that I went to back in the '90s. Some of you weren't even alive when I was at this convention in 1996. You know, and that was the beauty of these. This was a 3-day show. You know, at DEF CON. This was their third year of doing this, and they did it right. It was put on by Wizards Asylum Comics and Games in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and they did it right. I mean, they had tons of guests, on a regular basis, and this is chock full of autographs from all the people, some that aren't even alive. Michael Turner now, Lynn Wein has passed on. Dan Fragg's still alive. Morant Michael's still alive. I think Shannon Wheeler's still alive. I'm pretty sure Susie Owens, Nikki Fritz, J.J. North, and Lion is still alive. But there's several in here that have passed on that I know have passed on personally, because it's a heartfelt thing whenever people do pass on like that. Michael Turner, he died of cancer. Right over my shoulder, right there, is a Stephen Hughes. He was the big Lady Death artist in the '90s with Chaos Comics and Brian Pulido. He's passed on due to cancer. I mean, the list goes on and on. Art Nichols, who is right back here with a Spider-Man piece, he's passed on now. And, it's sad, but it's life at the same time. I'm going to die at some point in time, in life. I've had 2 heart attacks. I was in the military. I got IED'd. I got into several firefights, and but I'm still alive and kicking right now, and it's like Well, my time it is written somewhere out there. You know, you will not live forever. Even in cryo sleep, you won't live forever. And I don't even know how that cryo shit works. Watching a Nip Tuck, and one of the main characters thought he had cancer and was going to put himself into cryo sleep, and found out he was going to have to share eternity until they thawed him out later with another person. And he was like, fuck no, I'm not doing that. I want my own room. And so they walked out. And then come to find out he doesn't have cancer. It's in remission. So, you know, but it's just strange how the links that people will go to for immortality, you know. Like people say, now that we're in the spooky season, that drinking, hemoglobin, if you will, because if you say blood and things like that, you usually get a restriction in certain areas and things like that. Certain keywords you have to smooth over, if you will. But some people think drinking that will help you live forever. You know, will make you immortal. Um, and that's where the vampire myth lore came into play as well. Part of, not all of. I don't want any of my vampire, you know, economists out there going crazy because that's not how it all came about. It all came about because of, you know, and I know the story of Dracula. I know the story of all of that good stuff. You know, I'm a horror buff myself, and but no, some people just think that that will help you live a longer, uh, almost immortal life. You know, and that was part of the topic of that show yesterday or last night that we were watching, and on Nip Tuck. And it's a show that I never thought I would get into, you know, period. Uh, but she was like, I'm surprised, my girlfriend. She was like, I'm surprised you don't like it because there's a lot of sex in it. It's like, okay, and not everything has to be about sex, you know? And it's just like, that's one of the things that you will get flagged for on TikTok is if you, like, I have not safe for work artwork, and it is very row, and tick. You can put all that together. And if you say that word, you will get flagged. You'll get a restriction. You will get your show will end right then and there. And so I have that, and I do have an OF channel. And if you know what that means, you can. I don't have it all set up yet because I don't know how I want to set it up yet with my artwork. You know, everything goes by tiers, and this tier for this price, this tier for this price. You get your free preview section, you know, of the safe stuff, you know. And it's just like, well, how do I really want to use it out there for that? Because I don't draw it that much. You know, I've got maybe 8 pieces right now that would fit in those tier categories, you know. And you always want to do more, expand more, and things of that nature. But then it's also like, well, that's not really who I am. That's not really what I draw the most of, you know. So why have it? You know, especially if I'm not going to be buying content from other creators, if I'm not going to be, you know, doing this, that, or the other with other creators out there, it you know, sometimes things don't make sense. But you want that avenue of approach so that if people are interested in that, and there's a lot of people that are interested in that type of artwork, excuse me, they have that opportunity to get it and get it from me because I haven't seen anybody else on there and I haven't really looked um, selling that type of content, you know, out there. But I could be wrong and it could be out there as well. I know a lot of people go and use it on what is it, Discord and Reddit and what's the other one? There's another one out there. I'm trying to think of what it is. It's an art site. Um, Crap. And then I'm just finding out MySpace is still out there. It's like, what the hell? I thought MySpace died a long time ago, you know, but apparently it's still out there. You can still get an account if you want one. If you can't remember yours from back in the day, which I cannot, uh, I don't even remember what my username was back on MySpace back in the day. I couldn't even tell you which address I was using for that, you know. But apparently, if you want a MySpace account, you can get one of those too. So go get you one right now. Get out there, get you back in the 1980s and 1990s. Let me get my walker. Hold on there, kiddies. But yeah, no, you can relive that nostalgic moment if you'd really like to, out there. And a lot of people do because they loved how it was manageable. Unlike, I mean, manageable as far as, Facebook is manageable, TikTok is manageable, everything is manageable. But MySpace, you could put cool music to your profile and all that good stuff back in the day. Um, you know, you had, what was it, Nester, something like that, which was the rip off channel if you wanted to get music before it was actually out and about on, the radio or even out on a cassette tape or, whatever back in the day before CDs and all that good stuff, laser disc and those type things were hitting the market. It's just like, uh, with that you could, go get the music now, and there was a lot of stuff like that, where you could get music, boom, done, downloaded to your hard drive. But you know, and you can still do that today if you really wanted to. There's tons of those sites, torrent sites, and things of that nature, uh, where you can go rip off the man, if you will. Um, that was kind of the funny thing about Afghanistan. We would go to the bazaar, and they would have brand new DVDs of movies that were in theaters right now. You know, but you get it. You go ahead and buy it for like your $3 or whatever it is, and you get it back and start watching it, and it's directly filmed in a theater. People are walking by, the person filming, people, it goes in and out of blur. It's like, well, son of a bitch. But then you got some that were really great quality. I still have some here now, that I bought in Afghanistan, you know, and it's probably like, well, I should probably just get rid of those completely because, who watches DVDs anymore? I only collect DVDs for interest. They were my biggest interest of stuff. Like this kid's book that I will never open, of the X Files right here. I haven't cracked it open. It's a golden book, and now I find out that we have a lot of golden books of stuff that I would like to get. Aliens up here, Planet of the Apes over here, Star Wars in the middle. You know, out of this grouping back here, those would be the three I would get. Out of this golden books, the little golden books. But you know, I won't know what this story is about because number one, I'm not going to crack it open. I don't want a seal mark on here. You know. Now I could have popped one open that was already popped open at the store. I think we found this one at Walmart. I could be wrong on that, but I'm pretty sure that's where we found it. But it's going to remain just like it is. I'm a huge X Files fan. I've got all the DVDs, including some of the spin offs from, The Lone Gunman, Millennial, or Millennium, and then the standalone stories as well. Now I've got the huge I Want to Believe poster, but I want all of them. This is just one. I think this was from season 6, actually, or maybe season 4. I can't remember. But I want each movie poster from, because I believe they had 6 different ones, on their 9-year, 10-year run, or technically 11 seasons because they added 2 new seasons, and so, you know, I want all those movie posters to adorn my office, you know, and is this the office of my future? Who knows? I might tear this apart and put in a Connex right here and go that route because this room is technically falling apart, if you will. It has one of the real windows in the whole house because the rest of the house only has like freaking trailer house windows, which aren't real windows. They're like this thick. This one actually is an actual window. You know, double pane and all that good stuff, and it's a window, which is nice. I'm looking at the other one. The other one is it could be the same type of window, but I don't think it is. No, it's not. That one over there. This window is the only real window in the house. The one that I look out and I can see my front yard. I can see the cattle field across the street. This one is the trailer park window over here, trailer house window over here. So, they did not use the proper windowage whenever they built this house. And it sucks, especially during the wintertime. So, you've got to roll with the punches when it comes down to it. Because this room does not have heat or air in it. It has a window unit. I have to have a floor heater, if I want to be warm during the wintertime, those type situations. So, my thought is to rip it apart, rip this whole section down, and then put a Connex right here, a 43-foot Connex that will encompass right up against my chimney out there, and work my screened-in porch right there, and push this forward to the door, to the side of the house, and then have the entire, from the door all the way back further, because I'm pretty sure that 43 foot would go a little bit farther back than I have now back there, depending. But, it gives me more space in here as well. I think the Connex is roughly, well, no, the Connex would be a little bit wider than this too. And so, as I'm looking, I'm pretty sure it's wider than this. And the top would be, the roof would be taller. I could actually put my 8-foot tall Boba Fett painting in here that I'm working on that I would love to finish. But the only place I can work on it is outside. And because right now I have no ceiling space that will accommodate an 8-foot tall painting, that's hand stretched canvas on a hand built frame. It's 8 foot tall by 4 foot 6 or 4 foot 8 wide. So the thing is massive. Because Boba Fett is technically only 6 foot 2 or 6 foot 1 or something like that. He's about the same size as same height as I am. I'm 6 foot 2. But then you've got the helmet height on top of his head, and then you've got the antenna on top of that. So that's why I went 8 foot tall with the whole thing, so that I could get all that encompassed in there. And then of course he's got his blaster. It's a typical standard Boba Fett pose, but then around it is going to be a bunch of more scenes of him doing more action and things of that nature. And so it's going to be cool whenever I get it going again. It's just taking me forever. And if there's any Star Wars enthusiast out there that would like an 8 foot tall painting, you can hit me up and get the price. So, several of my regulars are not on here today that like to chit chat. But if you have anything you would like to say, please do so. We've already talked about pineapple on pizza because one person put that out there. And, all that goody good stuff. Don't bring politics into it. Don't bring religion into it, because we will just bypass those questions. You know, and if you want to talk those types of things, go start your own broadcast channel. Go live on your own. So, but we do have a lot of stuff going on. We do have, pockets of my cover right here on the job comic book cover right here. Job number 3, right there, by Legacy Comics, Mr. Patrick Hickey Jr., which I'm working on another project for him. I can't talk too much about it, but I've got the script over here. Like I said, I've got a script for another kid's book to work on, potentially more than just one. I've got another script with the guy that I did the boxing book story as through a child's eyes. Um, and so, you know, we are working. We are still working, as the title says. And it's a good problem to have. It's just that you want to be working on your own stuff, you know. And eventually I'll get there. I'll get back to it. It's just there's been a lot of stuff going on, you know, personally and just life stuff, not just the personal stuff, but life stuff happening as well. So, you know, we work through it all. You know, we're human for the most part. You know, I still call myself an alien. I was found out in the woods under a rock somewhere, and you know, it's you things happen, things bog you down, things get in the way of the progress that you want to have, and but you have to learn to adapt and overcome. If the military has taught me anything, adapt and overcome. You know, and you have to work through all the stuff. And then you have to get back on track because you can't just stay idle and stay stagnant. You know, in all of your processes, and as you know continue on, you you want to make sure everything's being taken care of as well at the same time, because if not, you know how is that mental state going on in your head? How is your health? How is, are you working out? Are you getting enough water? Are you this? Are you eating right? All those good things. And if you're not, then why aren't you? And this isn't a push to be like, hey, you need to eat healthy, because obviously I don't eat healthy enough. I eat too much sometimes, if I eat at all. Like the past 2 days, I didn't hardly eat anything, you know. And but then it's like we had a pretty decent meal last night of salmon and pesto rice, you know, homemade, of course. Excuse me. And tonight it might turn into steaks. Go with a portion of steak, because technically they say this should be your portion size. The size of your stomach should be the portion size right there. Now, some people's stomachs are a little bit bigger than others, obviously, and but if you're going to eat healthy, you've got to you know try something new. And so, and then your body rebels against you because I'm starving. I want food. We just had food. No, you didn't. Where's the sweets? Bring on the sweets. Some people can't stand sugar, and I get that. I try to cut it out as much as I can, but it doesn't always happen. And so, I end up with, you know, a nutty bar, or, a Hershey's with almond, or something like that. It's like, oh, that was good. That was some good stuff right there. Yeah, that was some good stuff. But no, everybody has their habits, and some are bad, some are good, you know, and you just got to roll with the punches with it all, and you got to do what's best for you as a human being. Uh, no one can tell you what to do. No one can tell you, how to act, or anything like that. You're gonna be who you are, regardless, unless you're just that whooped, and uh, you are just a yes person. You know, your significant other is like, you're gonna do this, okay, 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 instead of like, no, the fuck, I'm not. You can handle it. I've got other shit to take care of. But that's just a person thing, a personal issue with things. You know, you can backlash with your significant other all you want to, but what ultimately is that going to get you in the end? A divorce, a breakup, whatever. You want to keep the peace as well. You know, some people are just like, I don't care, I don't give a shit. You do what you want to do. Uh, you know, and it's like, and some people will take you up on that offer. You know, if you're not going to be the person that they think you're supposed to be, then they're going to find somebody that is going to take care of that itch, that scratch that they want. You know, it's a sad state of affairs to hear about all that stuff, but it's the truth, unfortunately. And you get some people that are just miserable on a regular basis, and they stay together. You know, and a lot of them are like, "Well, I'm doing it for the kids." Just like, no, you need to do it for your mental health. You know, and that's what I had to do with my second marriage. You know, there was a lot of anger, animosity, and things of that nature. So I had to end it. You know, there was physical abuse from her to me. I'm a big guy. I'm not going to hit her. I'm not going to hit a woman, period, unless they absolutely 100% deserve it. Like that father did uh, when his wife or daughter was getting beat up by 6 women. You know, or I think it was the husband. He stepped in and took care of business. You know, and a lot of people are bashing him for it. And but he's protecting his own, which I get. But again, I don't hit women, never have. There's no sense in it because I'm a bigger person than that woman most of the time. And then there's some women out there that could kick my ass, you know, because they lift more weights than I do on a regular basis. They take karate or jujitsu or whatever, black belts and Krav Maga and UFC and shit like that, and they could take me down, you know. And I was a combatives instructor in the military as well, so you know, and that was it. That's that was a funny point. Combatives instructor. We had a female come in, and she was an amputee, and no one, absolutely no one, wanted to wrestle her because of she was an amputee, and she felt horrible that no one wanted to do combatives drills with her, and I was like, come on, let's go. And she's like, really? And I was like, yeah, I'm not going to treat you any different because yes, you got an amputee, and yes, I'm a veteran, a combat veteran at that. And she was like, seriously? I said, yeah, I'm not going to treat you any different than a normal person. And she was like, all right, cool. And when we got into it, she goes, don't hold back. And I was like, are you sure? And she was like, yeah, don't hold back. I want to be, you know, I want to be treated normal and fairly. I was like, okay. So we went hard, you know. Um, it's not cool, you know, combative drills with a female, male to female. But I'm not going to treat her any different because she's an amputee. 11 Bravo, military, Army, and Army National Guard, but I was active duty the whole time. So I never got to see my one weekend a month, 2 weekends out of the year. So E4 Marine, cool. Very nice. Thank you for your service. And, you're a brother in arms. And, I don't look at the branches any different. I know a lot of people do. They're like, no, this is the only branch. This is the only branch. This is the only branch. And it's just like, no, we all served. I saw combat theater in Afghanistan. I got IED'd. I got into firefights. You know, and it's just like, I saw my fair share of action. I was in firefights. I got hit with an IED. All that goody good stuff. So I'm still here to talk about it. Had I done it out of high school, I probably would have retired from it. But I was 33, and I was 33 when I joined. So I was already the old guy at basic training. Now there was a 30-year-old and a 31-year-old as well, you know, and in my same platoon because they put us all together. There was a 36-year-old that beat all of us in a different platoon. but he ended up blowing out his knees and having to get recycled back to like week 2 or 3, and I don't even know if he finished uh, or not, 100%. Again, he wasn't part of our platoon, so I didn't keep track of him at all. But no, it was fun, and like I said, had I done it out of high school, I would have retired from it completely, and I'd be bringing in a pension from it. Um, but no, I did my 8 years. The last two of that being a trainer, training up troops, and yeah, definitely no regrets at all, or regrets, unless I get a Snickers. But no, I followed my grandfather's footsteps. He was a father figure to me. That's why I put father in there sometimes. My grandfather, he was 45th Infantry in World War II in Korea, and he paved the way for me. My cousin tried to go Air Force, but he was medically discharged within a year, I think. So, and that's awesome, dude. You know, and if all of my family had served in different branches, I would have their uniforms hanging up in the house next to mine. You know, there's some people that are like, well, I can't put a Navy uniform next to my Army uniform, and I can't put a Marines uniform next to my Army uniform. Why? Why not? Military's military. You know. Yes, the Marines wanted me out of high school, but I was like, no, I'm good. I lived life a little bit. You know. Exactly. Who gives a shit? You know. Because military is military. You served your country, you deserve that respect, no matter what branch you served in. And yeah, but there is an army guy that I'm learning about that uh, married a friend of mine. Sorry, I got to get this stupid puzzle piece out of the way. And they got married here not too long ago, and he's like, I'm not putting your grandfather's Navy stuff up next to mine. It's like, why not? How arrogant is that? How arrogant of you is that? You know, and it's just like, had my grandfather been in the Navy or the Air Force or whatever instead of the 45th Infantry, I would have his stuff if it was still around. I don't even know if it is or not, because he's passed on now, and I don't know what my mother did with any of his stuff if he even still had it. It would, yeah, I would proudly display it, you know, with his service medallions and things of that nature. Oh yeah, a lot of people think it's disrespectful, but it's not. You know, because if it's going to be disrespectful, why do you have all of the different medallions sitting next to each other? Whenever people display the different militaries, why are the flags displayed together? Why are the emblems displayed together? You know, and but yes, no, I get it. Everybody thinks their branch is the best, whichever one they go into. I've got a devil dog friend myself, several, uh, and some of them converted to Army. you know, then they went National Guard. So and then I've got one that went Air National Guard. So he became kind of an Air Force, from the Army. So my nephew, he's in the Air Force, and he does a lot of cool stuff as well. I'm proud of him for doing what he did. My son went Army. He was going to be an Army medic, but he didn't get to fulfill those dreams, you know. And uh, he was going to become a firefighter and an EMT. But again, his life was cut too short at 17 due to an ATV accident, and he didn't get to fulfill his dream of what he wanted to do. And so, but he did join the military. He was drilling with his unit out of Oklahoma City at the time, and he was getting ready to go off to basic training after he graduated high school, which he'd already did. And then his life got cut too short in an ATV accident at a church campground, and that he was a counselor at. And checking my levels, sorry. And so, he didn't get to fulfill his dreams of following in my footsteps of being Army. But he was Army National Guard, Combat Medics Unit. out of Oklahoma City, and he unfortunately didn't get to fulfill that dream. But like I said, he had it all planned out. Yes, he was a badass, um, and he was doing what he wanted to do. Again, he was following in my footsteps, and like I said, he had it all planned out what he was gonna do, because he was gonna go to Oklahoma State for their firefighter school, and then he was gonna become an EMT and continue his life saving journey, that way, when he wasn't drilling with his unit or being deployed, whichever one. So there you go. And that was back in 2009. That was the heartbreak years from 2008, 2009, and 2010. My sister was killed by a drunk driver in 2008. My son died in 2009 of an ATV accident, and then my grandfather, my father figure, he passed on from old age. He was 90 years old, and he was missing grandma too, who passed away in '06. So he lived four more years than she did, and but there was touch and go moments several times in those 4 years where we thought he was going to go earlier, but he lived it out and did his thing. So that was the heartbreak years: 2008, 2009, 2010, and all of them were less than a year apart. You know, so that's enough of that stuff. So here we go. As promised, we're going to show our shirts. This is the number one seller right now. My number two painted Joker shirt right here. I have the painting sitting over here. If anybody wants the original painting, you can pick that up right now. But as I said, with all of our shirts, there is a 11 by 17 print or a 16 by 20 canvas print available as well. This is the very first Joker shirt that I did. It's becoming a slow fan favorite. People are starting to order this one up right now. This one actually sold as soon as it was finished, the actual original painting. Then you have my Last Ronin Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles right here. The original of this one sold at a show as well. This is my Chester Bennington piece right here. It looks great on a shirt. We have it hanging here at the house. The painting is here as well. So if you're interested in that, it's a 16 by 20, I believe. Then you got Ivan Moody of Five Finger Death Punch. This was a gift for the girlfriend's mother, and she's actually wearing this shirt now. But I did the painting for her originally for her birthday or Christmas, and she now owns a shirt to wear proudly, which she was just wearing the other day. Then you've got my American Horror shirt, which I just showed you wherever I did with them. Where did I put them? I stuck them right there. I'm sticking everything on top of it. That's why I can't find it. Duh. Right here in the maroon instead of the black. So we've got it in maroon. We can put it on different colors right here. Then we've got the Howard the Duck, the original Howard the Duck, not that CGI stuff. I can put it on any color shirt you want, Dylan, and it just depends on which one you want, brother. This is Howard the Duck, based off of Jack Kirby, angry, angsty, foul-mouthed duck that they did back in the day, not the CGI guy that you see now in the MCU. Then you've got Dexter right here. My girlfriend has this in red. I've got to get myself one for black or red, either one. Terrifier, Art the Clown. We have this in red and black. It looks cool on both. Then you've got the Crow. The James O'Barr version over here on the side, which gives it an homage to. And then the Brandon Lee up top, which I have this in yellow and black, and it looks cool on both. And why I did yellow is because of the highlights of yellow that you see in here already. So I did it on a yellow shirt, and it looks really cool. It pops out really well. Then another fan favorite, that Crow is becoming a fan favorite as well. So Linda Carter Wonder Woman right here, very fan favorite. This one is getting ordered left and right. And it looks killer on red. I haven't put it on any other shirts because of this right here. This encompasses her suit, if you actually know her suit back in the day. And then another fan favorite right here is my Naughty Nun series, The Bad Habits. This one is becoming a fan favorite. This one is getting ordered left and right as well. I have about 17 more shirts that I haven't got printed out yet that are going to be up for grabs as well. on shirts. But if you want any of those, hit me up in Messenger, and we can talk. I take Venmo, Cash App, PayPal, all that good stuff. And it takes about a week and a half to get those delivered to me, and so then I deliver them to you via shipping them to you. So there is a small shipping charge of $5, which isn't much at all when it comes to it all in the end. So Dylan, if you really want one of those shirts of the ones that you saw or multiples, hit me up, and we'll talk. But that is it for today, folks. You all have a great day, and as I like to say, as I leave you guys, it's a much appreciated, but that's not what I like to say. We will catch you on the flip side. Have a good day, everybody.